Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be going through rebuilding a generator for my Sears Suburban. I think it's a 1958, but it doesn't really matter on these guys. It's either got a generator or it doesn't. So here I'm pulling out the casing bolts. Really nothing to it. A little excessive force. And there's the two bolts out. And in comes my trusty assistant to make this job easier. We're just going to pop off the pulley on the end. Just with the rattle gun, pops off. And then, luckily with this guy we didn't have to use a pulley puller. You just put a wrench in there and pop it off that way. So here we're pulling out the key. We had to pull that out so that we could pull the front housing out. It was pretty soft material, so we just had to take our time, kind of slowly chiseling it out with a flat chisel. And here we're just tapping off the end, kind of working our way back and forth. It's actually pulling the bearing out of the ass end of the generator, and there we just knocked the front off. And here we take off the back cover and just kind of start getting a feel for how this thing looks inside. Here's the bearing full of waxy grease. There's the front housing, not looking too bad. And there's the brush assemblies. Looks pretty good. So we pulled that bearing off, just used a bearing press. Here I'm going to go through and take off the front bearing retainer plate, just using a impact driver. I didn't want to tear up the flat blade on the screw heads because it looked like it had not been touched. I think does a really good job. And here my assistant is taking off the grease seal for the bearing, just using an X-Acto knife.
Now we can clean the bearing and re-lubricate it, because as you can see, the bearings do not want to spin very well inside of that housing. It should be spinning nice and smooth, but the grease has turned to this waxy, nasty substance.
So here I'm using the bearing press to press out the bearing in the front housing, and we're dumping the bearings into just some gasoline just to kind of break up the waxy grease that's left inside of there. You can see it's getting pretty nasty already. And here I'm just going through, kind of cleaning up the front housing, putting a light coating of grease on everything. And here we're pulling out the bearings. They've been in there for probably about maybe 5 or 10 minutes or so. And again, continuing with the cleaning. Here my assistant has got the lovely job of packing the bearings, and there's the main casing cleaned up, and again the front housing cover cleaned up. He's continuing packing the bearings. He's a fan of that lubber plate. It does a really good job. And here we're preparing the bearings to go back on. These are just they're not even a press fit. They're just a manual. You can just push them on. If you have to do anything more, you need to clean up the shaft. That's what she said. And here we're fitting the front housing onto the shaft so we can start reassembly. And he's actually going to pop the back cover out just so that we can make sure our alignment is perfect. Now with this, as we're sliding those two pieces together, we're actually having some issues getting the brushes to seat correctly.
Go ahead and slide that in.
And there he finally gets it kind of aligned. And there you can see the brush assemblies. And here we're trying to get the back cover on. There's a little alignment dowel there. And here he's putting the cover back onto the back cover. We took that off so that we could make sure the bearing was fully seated. And this is our after I already have the front cover on, and we're trying to thread in those super long bolts. It's kind of a challenge. And tightening everything back up.
Give it a whirl.
A little persuasion to get that pulley back on. A little grease to make sure that it comes apart next time.
I've been running the stove like it should be all day.
Tightening it down. And she's ready for a test. And success. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, check out the rest of my channel for more cool videos and stuff. Thanks.